Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way show. So happy to have you with me this evening. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. It's the second time that I have been live today. I know, giving you guys so much content. Not sure if that's good or that's bad. I don't know. Maybe it is, but I know I am here yet again. Tonight, I am talking about an issue that's really important. And this was spurred because of what happened in New York State. Recently, some of you may have heard of the horrible story of Dexter Taylor. Dexter Taylor, I've had him on my show. He's been on many shows. His attorney's been on my show, been on many shows talking about this. Sadly, to no avail. What has happened is he was a gentleman in Brooklyn who decided to see if he wanted to be a gunsmith or not. Seriously, don't want to be a gunsmith. So he purchased pieces and started putting together guns. All legal, all the norm, nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. Wasn't going to sell them, didn't have anything else there, just making guns, seeing if he wanted to do that. Second Amendment right. He was arrested. He was sent to jail. He was convicted, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He is now officially in New York State a violent felon. And there is literally no victim, no crime, didn't steal, didn't do anything, nothing but bad. Literally no value whatsoever did he provide. I'm sorry, no victim did he provide for anybody. 10 years. What could have stopped that? Well, Larry, we got to change the laws. Larry, we got to change judges. Yes. But before that, something that we can all do. Something I always talk about, which is becoming a juror. Yes, becoming a juror. Now, I know most people go, Larry, that's insane. Why the hell would you want to become a juror? Why would you want to waste your time and energy becoming a juror? The reason is because the brain dead, empty suits that are in our assemblies don't care about the Constitution at all. They pass laws that have nothing to do with the Constitution constantly. Our executives sign those things into law if it makes sense for them politically. They don't care about the Constitution either. They push this down to prosecutors who don't care about the Constitution either. Note, all of them swear an oath to it. And to judges who don't care about the Constitution. The only judges who even care remotely about the Constitution are those who are at the Supreme Court. They do kinda. The rest in New York State specifically do not care. The judge in this courtroom said literally on the record, there's no place for the Second Amendment in the courtroom today. She said the Bill of Rights doesn't count in a courtroom. She said that. Who's going to stop them? Jurors. Jurors are going to stop them. I'm going to talk to you about the specifics. We should be thinking about how it works. I have been called a jury 3 times, been on 2 juries, 1 civil and 1 a criminal. So I know how this works. And for those of you who know, I also do some consulting with defense attorneys, how to pick juries, all those other things. I do some of that also. But Jonathan picks up the exact right point, and I'm happy he said it. Thank you, Jonathan. You read my mind. Being a juror is your opportunity to directly affect an outcome. Yes, yes, and yes. Thank you, Jonathan, for that. You are exactly correct. And I know for some people, it's hard, right? You got a job, you got family, and I'm not asking you to sacrifice like your life to be in a jury. But I am saying that if you can do it, do it. Here's the problem with most people. They go on a jury and they start, I'm a libertarian, baby. Well, you're not getting on a jury, are you? That gets you out of jury duty, and it makes you righteous, doesn't get you on. And I'm going to share a video, and I want to comment on this video, talk about it. This is a video. I'm going to talk about how it actually works so you can see it. It's a video from a law firm called Matthew Harris Law, and I have put the link, if you guys want to check out and check them out, follow them if you want to, actually in the show description, so you can check it out if you want to. And I do want to bring this up because I want to talk about this piece, why you're not picked to serve on a jury. It is a good piece for me to present. I'll show it right now, see if I can find it. It's this piece. Hold on. And here we go. Let's go ahead and rock and roll.
Did you know that there is an interview process for serving on a jury? Depending on how this interview goes, the attorneys on the case can kick you off the jury for any reason they want. Well, any reason short of discrimination. This interview is conducted on the record, meaning that you are first placed under oath before your interview, and all of your answers are transcribed by the court reporter. This interview is known as voir dire, but you might know it as jury selection. What you might not realize, though, is that picking a jury is more about deselection rather than selection.
There we go. So they're throwing people off. Whoever they can't throw off, they're stuck with. That's how they pick juries. So keep that piece in mind.
The sole purpose of voir dire is to determine the suitability of potential jurors to hear a particular case. The ultimate goal is to assemble a jury that can objectively weigh the evidence and render a fair verdict without bias or prejudice.
Now, that's a lie. That's not true. That is absolutely not the goal at all. The goal of jury selection is to get the most biased jury you can possibly get for your side. That's real. I mean, that's theoretically, he's a lawyer, so he's saying lawyer stuff. Absolutely not true. The prosecution is trying to get a jury that will convict in 5 seconds, and the defense is trying to get a jury that will acquit in 5 seconds. So they want the best jury for them. None of them are looking for a fair jury. They say that not true at all.
During voir dire, the attorneys are simply trying to determine which jurors need to be kicked off the panel. Jurors can be removed with a challenge for cause or as a result of a peremptory challenge. Challenges for cause are legal motions where the attorney believes that the juror is actually prejudiced against the client or has expressed a bias that would prevent them from being fair and impartial. Peremptory challenges are a tool employed during jury selection that allows attorneys to excuse a potential juror without ever providing a specific reason.
Yes, they just go, I want that guy out. Now, we do it all the time too, right? That's true. All the time, right? All the time. That guy, no, he's going to get rid of him. Yes, all the time.
Like challenges for cause, which require a demonstrated bias or legal disqualification, peremptory challenges are exercised at the discretion of the attorney, provided that they do not violate certain constitutional principles. The number of peremptory challenges varies greatly from trial to trial. Before we go any further, do you actually know how jury selection works? Let's demonstrate with an example.
Okay, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I don't want you to do the opposite, which is get yourself kicked off. Roger comes up right away. Larry, if they ever called me, they'd throw my ass right out of there once they found out my political views. Last time I was called was in 1992. That's the ultimate throw off. Yeah, you're not wrong, right? But that's the problem, right? Your political views are supposed to also be part of the issue, right? They're supposed to be, but they don't. They constantly throw us off. And they only have people on that they think will be moved by whoever they want. Phil says, my dad's a lawyer. He said most lawyers look for dumb people who can easily be manipulated to put on a jury. Try to look as dumb as possible. Here's the thing you'll also get. They want you, the people they want you to be someone who is just biased enough, right? So say, for example, if some people will throw off every cop. If it's a criminal jury, he's a cop, throw him off. He's going to assume that all the cops are right. He's going to believe cops. He's going to believe the prosecutor, believe everything. So they want to throw the cop off. But what if you're like a corrections officer or maybe a parole officer? That's like, ooh, is that biased enough? That's the goal they're trying to achieve. Just biased enough is the concept. So yes. Mike Voss, how are you, sir? Says, every time I could be picked for jury cases, the case was pled out. And I was told being political makes me unwanted. Also true. Yes, also true. And why Liberty? I've been called a few times, but never got to selection as a defendant always took a plea at the last minute. Yes, 100%. Yes. I was on. Every time I've been interviewed, I got on, right? I did 3 times I went to jury duty. One time when I went there, I never even was interviewed. Like I sat there for the 5 days or whatever it was, whatever the days was. I never got even picked for anything. I just went home. Second time I got in a civil case, that one went like 1 day. Then they got rid of us. I guess they settled. And the second time I got was a criminal case, went all the way to verdict. So, yes, so I've actually been twice. So that's my experience.
The question everyone has is, what are the chances of me actually getting picked for jury duty? Imagine if you and 19 of your friends stood in line to ride the last Ferris wheel ride of the day. This is a tiny Ferris wheel that only carries 12 people. And when it's full, the carnival closes for the day. You're number 20 in line. So it doesn't seem like you have a very good chance of riding the Ferris wheel, does it?
See?
Not so fast. The Ferris wheel operator starts asking all 20 of you questions about your experiences with
Here we
Ferris
go.
wheels. One person in line states that he actually hates Ferris wheels.
Hate those Ferris
One
wheels.
person in line states that she has a history of vandalizing Ferris wheels.
Hate those Ferris
And
wheels.
then another person in line states that he has debilitating motion sickness. Before the Ferris wheel operator started asking questions, the first 12 people in line would be getting on the ride. But after these answers, these 3 people are kicked out of line for cause.
Yep.
Now, of the people left in line, original numbers 1 through 15 are guaranteed to ride since they are now the first 12 people in line. But wait, now the Ferris wheel operator gets to kick 5 people out of line without having to give any explanation why. The peremptory challenge. He kicks 5 people out of line. That means you are now in the first 12 people in line and you just found yourself on the Ferris wheel. That's exactly how jury selection works. The first 12 jurors who are not kicked off will serve on the jury. As a potential juror, it is essential for you to approach the jury selection process with an understanding of peremptory challenges and the reasons behind their use.
Now, why does he tell you this? He says this because you may think that you don't have a bias, but they may decide you do anyway, right? They may decide you do anyway. Because again, their goal is not to make a fair jury. The goal is to stack the deck in their favor. And both sides. I don't want to say that the defense is worse than the prosecution. Prosecution's worse. I don't want to say which one's worse. Prosecution's worse. I'm just saying what they want to do is they want to make sure that they put it their side. That's what they're looking for.
Are some key points to consider. Jurors often have limited information about the case during voir dire.
Yep.
Attorneys may use peremptory challenges based on general impressions, body language, or other subtle cues that may not be apparent to jurors.
There's something else they do now, and this is something I got to tell you. You may not know this. I've been part of this. What you do is they get the names of everybody, and literally, as they get the names out, they literally go through social media. I'm not joking. So if it's a nice law team, that's a lot of people. It's one lawyer, probably not if you have a small firm. But if you got a firm that's got a couple of associates, maybe a couple of legal assistants, whatever the case may be, they physically come to the courtroom during this time, have their laptops out, and start searching social media to see what this person does. So Roger, you're right. They're gonna look up Roger Meadows, go, that dude. Peremptory, get him out of there. Get him out of there. They are literally going to get you out because they see what is actually on your social media. So if you're about to go on social media, you're about to go for jury duty and you want to get selected, you might want to clean up your social media, maybe block a few things for a couple days. Particularly if you watch this show, you might want to block some stuff, is all I'm saying, because they will literally go through and look and go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. No. They will actually get rid of you by your social media now. They'll check your Twitter, your Insta, all that stuff. And they might go, that's not fair. That's the reality. They're literally doing it. So again, if you're able to pay a bunch of money to defend yourself and have a nice big defense team will have a bunch of people that are doing it. Now, prosecution already has that because prosecution has government money, which is unlimited funds to punish you. So they will use all the unlimited funds possible to just punish you. If you don't have a lot of money, you get the public defender who has virtually no help, who will not do this at all, who will beg you to plead because they can't afford to go to trial. If they go to trial, their jury selection is going to be terrible because they don't have the bodies to do it. Not because the individual lawyer is bad or incompetent. That has nothing to do with it. They don't have the bodies and the resources to go through all this stuff. Many times they don't have the experience either. Some of the times you will see lawyers bring in specific people, guys like me, just for that. So if you've got a bunch of cash and you've got a nice defense attorney, well, he's going to bring in specialists just for this. Guys like me to go through stuff, looking and going, nah, don't do that. Looking for body language, how somebody feels, all those things to boot these people off. Because sometimes one juror can make a decision that can fix everything. And what I'm going to ask you to remember, the reason why I want each and every one of you on a jury is exactly what Jonathan said. You can make a difference. You can absolutely make a difference.
Important for you to recognize that these challenges do not necessarily reflect on your character or qualifications.
I literally look at it sometimes when I talk about this, right? I will ask attorneys. I will ask attorneys to say things like, this is a piece I've actually taught attorneys to do in the past, right? Which is when you're doing your voir dire, go to your client and don't say my client. Say the person's first name. Give you guys some free advice here if you're an attorney. Say the person's first name, John, Jane, whatever name is, Phil. Here's what I know. Right now, Phil is innocent. To actually say those words. Now, what are you looking for? The reality is Phil is innocent because you're innocent until proven guilty, unless proven guilty. So he's innocent. Watch the body language and facial expressions of the jurors. Does that go, aha, got it. I see where your head is already. And if I can't find the reason to get rid of you, you're my preemptory challenge. You're gone because you've already done it. So just by saying that phrase and then watching this, you immediately say, I got a couple. How do you do that? You've got to have a couple people literally on your team because the attorney has to say that, but the guy like me is watching the faces going, number 7, number 8, number 10. We're writing them down, trying to find reasons to get rid of them. I know it sounds horrible, but that's what they're doing. The prosecution is doing the same thing. So this is for those of you who are saying, Larry, how does somebody who has money get a fair trial? Because they have things like this, and there's many more, obviously. But that's the kind of things that you do to get rid of people on a jury.
Employ peremptory challenges as part of their trial strategy. The selection of a jury is a dynamic process influenced by the unique aspects of each case. Certain individuals may be excluded not because of any personal inadequacy, but because of how their presence might impact the dynamics of the trial.
Yes, second piece, right? Don't look like you're a leader at all. Because what the opposite side doesn't want is you to be able to convince anybody else of your side. I'm not joking. You're looking for people who are not leaders, right? If someone's, this kind of goes back to what the other guy was saying earlier about Phil was saying about, you want dumb people. Not dumb. I want people who aren't leaders. If someone's a leader on that jury, particularly if they work for the state, you are finished as if you're the accused, you're finished. Particularly someone like a police sergeant, you are done. You have no chance. Plea. Just bail and plea. Some people already said that after the first jury selection that the person pled, it was because the jury selection was so bad. You didn't know why, right? Have any of you been on jury duty? Some of you said it. You go on jury duty, they pick the jury, and then you go home. Because the defense attorney goes, I'm done. I got no shot. I got whatever. 2 police sergeants on my jury. I am finished. I am going to lose my case. Let me go ahead. Because those police sergeants not only are going to believe whatever the cop says, if there's a cop in this situation, there often is, they're going to believe the cop, but they're also going to convince every other jury member that that person's correct. So that's the reason why they don't want leaders. If you act like you're a leader, if you act like you'll no way. How did I get on a jury? Both times. Here is what I said. I'm not joking. They asked me a question, and I went very simply. I said, look, I was a Marine for years. I'm a Marine. I know how to follow orders. If he says A plus B equals C, then A plus B equals C. Literally what I said. Slept it twice. I'm not a leader. I just do what I'm told. I'm blah, blah, blah. Right? Simple. Now, that wasn't the question he asked me. And there's the next piece I want to bring up here. He's saying, don't lie. He's right. Please don't lie when you're getting selected for juries. Lying it's illegal, bad, wrong. Do not lie. However, you don't have to say anything extra. That's the key. The more you say, the more they will find a reason to get rid of you. How do I know that? That's what I do. I try to get them to say lots of things so that I can now put that in, because the judge is the ultimate arbiter of whether the person stays on the jury or not. So if the judge goes, that's not enough, sorry, he's staying, you're screwed. So you got to be able to say a whole bunch of things. See, he said this, he said that, he said this, he said that, he said this. Yeah, those things. Yeah, get rid of them. But if it's just one thing, well, that shirt is green. The judge's going to keep them. Remember, the judge does not want jury selection to go long because that lengthens everything. He wants the trial to be as short as possible. So the judge does not want to let you keep throwing people off because they have to get more jurors and go running through things. So you say less, there's less for that person to use to throw you off. Don't say anything extra at all. You say as little as possible.
You appear to be a natural leader and have given answers that seem like you might be sympathetic to the other side,
Yep.
then the attorney likely wouldn't take a chance by leaving you on the jury.
Bingo.
As it's just safer to use a peremptory challenge.
Get rid of
It
you.
might not be anything that you say or do during jury selection that causes the attorney to use a peremptory challenge to remove you from the jury. Sometimes it is as simple as where you work or your education
Yes.
history. If you work for a government agency, then you could be viewed as sympathetic to the state during a criminal prosecution.
Yes, what I just said, 100%. Also, if you're too damn smart. Yes, also something, right? Now, there's opposites, true, right? Opposites also. If there's a case where there's a lot of science involved, I might want some really smart egghead on that jury so they can explain it all to everybody else. Go, no, this guy's right. This is how the science works. But if I'm just like, he hit him, I might not want the egghead because he might say, well, what if? I don't want a what if guy in that regard. So yes, he's correct. It could go either way.
If you have a graduate degree in a scientific field and the case has a medical or scientific aspect, then you could be viewed as someone who might try to apply their own experience rather than applying the admitted evidence.
Now, did you hear that? Might put your experience versus your evidence. You're supposed to do that. Literally, you're supposed to do that. You are supposed to use your experience in deciding whether or not this is real or not. You are supposed to do that. That's literally what jurors are about. You use your experience and say, is this real? Is this not? Does this make sense? Does it not? They don't want you to. The judges do not want you to be very clear.
While peremptory challenges are a valuable tool for attorneys, their use is not without limitation. The Supreme Court has established that the exercise of peremptory challenges based on race or gender violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. These days, such protection would also likely apply to attempts to use peremptory challenges on the basis of race, creed, religion, national origin, or even sexual orientation. If an attorney suspects that the opposing party is using peremptory challenges in a discriminatory manner, they can raise a Batson challenge.
Now, here's the issue about a Batson challenge, right? How that works is, so you understand what that means, is all of a sudden, right? I get rid of like 5 Hispanic people, right? 5 and whoa. Why get rid of all Hispanic people? What happened? Now the question becomes, now I can challenge it, but is it because only Hispanic people happened to show up that day? Did I get rid of all the Hispanic people and no one else, right? So the Batson challenge, you might think is simple. It's not. You have to prove really that you did something wrong. I'm not necessarily against that, to be forward with you. I'm not necessarily against it, but the problem is you do sometimes see it as blatant and judges go, whatevs, because judges don't want to go back through it again. You might go, wait a minute, Larry, I thought judges care about the law. Judges care about lunch. They care about dinner. They want to go home. And that sounds terrible, and that's true most of the time. How it works. Remember, the criminal justice system is a meat grinder of despair and life destruction. That's what it is. Don't think it's anything else. Anyone who's in it spends their time creating despair and destroying lives. That's what they do. Now, there are a lot of people who totally deserve it, who should be destroyed, who should be hammered because they're bad people. But there's also people who are just wrong place, wrong time, or stupid laws means nothing. Of course. But that judge and that prosecutor, they don't see any difference at all. None. Everybody who comes in that courtroom to them is someone who deserves despair and destruction of their life. They deserve it. All of them think that. And you might go, wait a minute, Larry. Judges are supposed to be neutral. They're not. Most judges, particularly in my state, are former prosecutors. Some people will say, Larry, wait a minute here. You don't understand. The burden of proof in a criminal case is very high. That is a bunch of garbage. Anyone who says that to you, particularly if they're a lawyer, has never done criminal cases. They have not. They're like a patent attorney or something. I'm not against patent attorneys. We need a lot of patent attorneys. They're great. But they're not criminal justice attorneys, right? They don't do criminal, right? Here's how it actually works. When you walk into that courtroom, it is 5 against 1. If you go to trial, the judge already thinks you are guilty, guaranteed. The prosecutor doesn't care if you're guilty. He wants a conviction, so he just tells himself you're guilty so he can sleep at night. So they both think you're guilty. The jury thinks you're guilty. Why would you be in this courtroom if you're not guilty? Jury or thinks you're guilty. Your own defense attorney, if they are a public defender, probably also thinks you're guilty, and the press thinks you're guilty. It's 5-1. The burden of proof is the opposite. You trying to turn them is the hard part. So please don't fool yourself into thinking that they're there to. They don't care about truth. None of that. They just don't. I'm not trying to be mean. We understand that's how it works. And the only person who can save that and change that is you. You're the only one. Believe it or not, they will try their best to make it seem like you have no power. And I want to tell you as a juror, you have all the power. And they cannot punish you, and they cannot punish you. They cannot. You have all the power. You can remove from all of them. But you have to get on the jury first. And this is why I'm bugging you all. Don't blow off jury duty. I've gone 3 times, and I would go again. I mean, they're not going to pick me, but I would go again. Get on a jury duty and work this thing.
Prompting the court to evaluate the legitimacy of the challenges. When attorneys ask questions during voir dire, it is essential to answer truthfully and candidly. The goal is to provide a complete and accurate picture of your background, experiences, and potential biases.
100% wrong. Do not listen to him. He's wrong. In theory, that's correct. And he's a lawyer. He's talking lawyer stuff. He's got to do that. I get it. No. The actual goal is to say as little as possible. That's the goal. As little as possible. Yes. Here, Sal says, I've watched judges confer with the prosecutor before agreeing to arraignments too many times. Yes, they're on the same team. If you think the judge is on your side, you're fooling yourself. That judge is not. That judge is on the side of the prosecutor. 100%. They're on the side of the prosecutor. They're not, the judge is not your friend, right? Not your friend at all. The judge is your enemy. The judge wants to put you away. And the judge wants to go to lunch. You know, he's a meat grinder. He's been grinding meat all morning. He grinds meat at night, grinds meat in the morning, go home, good. And the judge, by the way, is immune from almost everything. They can say what they want, do what they want. No one can touch them. They are the demigods of our system. They're the most powerful of our system. I'm not even joking when I say that. They're most powerful. Do whatever they want. No one can stop them. Doesn't matter. So one person can, the juror. One person can, the juror. All right.
Honest communication is crucial in forming a jury that can fairly assess the case. Remember, you'll be placed under oath to tell the truth before you even start answering questions.
Don't lie.
Because of that, it is extremely difficult to avoid a proper peremptory challenge without committing perjury.
Yes. So again, let me repeat it again. I'm not saying lie. I'm saying say as little as possible. That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Yes. Joel says, yeah, my point. Almost all the judges were prosecutors at one time. They go for, yes. They have a saying here in New York. It's called the prosecutor to judge pipeline. That's what it's called. The prosecutor to judge pipeline. That is how often that happens. So Michael Weiss says, case in point, judge in Taylor case invalidated Second Amendment. Yep. Just to prop up New York State and Democratic overreach. Yes, but more importantly, she openly said she was unhappy that she was dragged online. This is literally in the transcripts. I want you to understand this. The judge was like, you hurt my feelings online. That's it, Dexter, 10 years. That's what the judge did. The judge said, I'm mad because I got dragged online, so I'm going to make sure I completely ruin a man's life. Totally. And again, that judge said Second Amendment does not. The judge takes an oath to defend and support the Constitution and then said the Bill of Rights does not exist in her courtroom. No punishment, doesn't matter. It's on the record. She then says, I'm mad because you guys dragged me online. So I'm now going to punish this man and ruin his life. But he's in his 50s. He will come out almost retired. Almost retired. Who can stop them? Again, the brain dead, empty suits in our assembly are never going to touch him ever. Our governors and our mayors are a joke. They're all part of the system. One person will stop them. You on a jury. You will stop them. I'm going deeper. I'm not done with this, but I want you to see this part. I hope that part was clear.
When you're asked questions about your experience and your answers reveal that you might be biased, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't make a good juror. It just means that you might not make the best juror for this particular case. At the same time, if you're trying to get out of jury duty, you shouldn't answer untruthfully in an effort to get removed.
100%.
I've heard people plan to say some pretty outrageous things in order to be excused from jury service. The real secret to getting out of jury duty is to just speak up and answer questions.
Yes, see, and he's right. And that's why I want you to not do that. If you want to get out of jury duty, just keep talking. Just keep talking. Please don't do that. But it's true, because if you talk a lot, they'll find some reason to get rid of you. They'll have a list of things that they will show to the judges. You go, oh, yeah, got to get rid of him. So the more you talk in general, the more you'll get booted. Shut up. Say as little as possible. In fact, when they ask you questions, I didn't even answer the question. I just said what I just told you. I said, look, you can ask me the questions. Why bother? Look, I'm a Marine. I know how to follow rules. The judge says A plus B equals C. That's what I actually said. Then A plus B equals C. It's pretty easy for me. That was it. And I was calm and cool like that. And they were like, oh, they thought he's harmless. Perhaps I'm not. I'm harmless. Perhaps I'm not. But absolutely, that piece is important. The more you say, the worse if you want to be on a jury.
The less you say, the less reason the attorneys will have to remove you. The more you participate, the more likely the attorneys will uncover some form of bias.
There we go. That's what I want you to know. 100%, that's true. So I walked down that road for several reasons. I walked down that road because I want you to be able to get in a jury if you can. Again, look, some of you, I know you're in tough spots. Jury duty is going to devastate your family or whatever you got going on. I get it. But if you're in a spot to where you can take a couple of weeks off and do jury duty, maybe your job will take care of you. It can do your work at night or something. Please do it. It does matter. The first thing is, that's how you get on a jury. But here's the issue. Once you get in a jury and once you see it and once you watch TV and see shows and all those things, here's what you have to realize. When you get there, most people on juries believe this. This guy's in a trial. They brought him here. Man, he must be guilty of something. Let me tell you the reality. If that guy is actually guilty, why didn't he plea? Why didn't he plea? That is the question. Why didn't he plea? Right? And 90% or so plea. So why didn't he plea? If he's that obviously guilty, he would have pled. But he didn't plea. He went to court. The fact that you're on a jury, there's a trial, means this guy could be innocent. And we think the opposite. He's sitting in that room. He must be guilty. No, the fact, if you're on a jury and there's someone there in a trial, the odds are pretty high they're innocent. Otherwise, they would have pled. Just imagine that. Specifically, if the person, and think about this, if you're there and the person has a public defender, they have a public defender and they didn't plea? Why? You have a public defender and you didn't plea. You're probably innocent. That's why. People plea when they're innocent. Of course they plea when they're guilty. I mean, think about this. So when you're a juror, when you're there, you got to start thinking, wait a minute. If this guy didn't plea, something's up. Maybe they're innocent. Keep your ears open. And you know what else you should do? When you talk to the jurors, because you will, they always go, don't talk to jurors. Jurors always talk. I know, I was on a jury. Say that. Wonder why I didn't plea. So ask that question to your jurors. Wonder why I didn't plea. Huh. Maybe he's innocent. Didn't plea. Because if you're a jury of 12, 11 of them think he's guilty. 11 of them think he's guilty. So if you go, wonder why I didn't plea? If he's guilty, why didn't he plea? I think I would have pled, right? Just something like that. When you're at lunch or whatever, and they'll go, you're right. That cast out. That's the number one issue. So keep that piece in mind. Not just that. Every single thing that the government says if a person's at trial, you should assume is a lie. And repeat that. Every single thing that prosecutor says, you should assume is a lie, or they're somehow hiding something. They should prove to you that what they're saying is true. Because you are a jury, and this is legal. A jury decides what is true and what is not true. A judge decides what evidence comes in, but the jury decides if that evidence is proof or not. A jury decides if it is true or not. You should assume everything the prosecutor says is an absolute lie. But lie, do prosecutors lie? All the time. All the time they lie. Constantly. All the time. So assume everything they're saying started is a lie. Can they prove it to be true? If that prosecutor does not have evidence that what they said is true, you should think as a juror, it's a lie. Larry, are they asking a lie that much? All the time. Prosecutors are liars. They just are. Of course they are. So what does that mean? Joe brought this up. He said, and he's right, well, so many judges are prosecutors. Yeah. So what does that make judges? Yeah. When the judge tells you how to think about something, you should think, he's probably lying too, or she. There's a lot of female judges too. Prosecutors, a lot of female prosecutors. So he or she, I mean, all the convicts, all the people who are arrested, they're 90% males. But people who are putting them in jail, ruining their lives, a lot of them are female. So female or male, whatever the case may be. So if you judge, you should assume the judge is also full of crap. You should assume that. Wait a minute, they're the judge. Yes, and they're human beings who are worried about going to lunch, and they ruin lives for a living. And they're basically demigods in their temple. So yeah, of course, 100%, right? You should be thinking that. Joel says, you're ruining my view of lawyers and judges. Next show said my elected officials lie to me. Yeah, kinda. So yes, but my point is, you as a juror should assume that to be true. Because here's what judges say. Things like this last judge, who was Dexter Taylor's judge, she said, the Second Amendment does not exist in this courtroom. That's a lie. A lie. The Second Amendment exists everywhere in this country. Everywhere, to include her stupid courtroom. But she's a demigod, so she may decide what she wants, and there's nothing around that. Who can stop them? You. You can go, oh, Larry warned me. You're a judge. You're probably lying to me. Got it. Understood. You're probably lying. Okay. So I can keep the Second Amendment if I want to. Got it. Thank you. You keep that in your head. Here's what you don't do. Say anything out loud. Let me repeat that. Here's what you don't do. Say that out loud. You say that out loud, they'll remove you. Yes, they will. They go, wait a minute. This what? They'll hit the button. Independent thought alert. Get rid of him. He's thinking independently. Get rid of him. He's not just listening to everything I say and making it just whatever I say is true. Get rid of him. So say nothing. I'm not saying lie. Again, I've never said lie. Do not lie. Just shut up. That's it. Absolutely. Peekaboo. Well done. Knowing when to shut the F up is the key to a lot of things in life. It is indeed. Yes. And this is one of those things. Absolutely. Say nothing. And just in your head go, okay. Judges will also tell you, particularly in New York State, they will say all the time, they will say, there's no such thing as jury nullification. If you don't believe the law is just, you must still convict. That is also a lie. You don't have to do that. So here's the example I will give you. Let's assume, and I brought this up before, the empty-headed, empty suits in New York State Assembly decide that if you are convicted of graffiti, and as long as you are 16 or older, the mandatory minimum is death. You must, and New York State doesn't have death penalty, I'm making this up, is death. So if you're 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, you're convicted of graffiti, the mandatory minimum is death. Now, in New York State, without question, judges would just assign death penalty to tons of people. Prosecutors would do it, and they would all go, well, you know, it's the law. My hands are tied. What will I do? You might go, Larry, they wouldn't do that. They already have. Our bail reform laws in New York State were terrible. Literally, people who were convicted of horrible crimes were released without bail because of these stupid laws. Now, I was wrong, and I learned my lesson on this, but I say it publicly. I was wrong. I thought in my heart, I was still naive, that there is no way that a judge would follow that. No way the judge would follow that. No way. That they would, that once this happened, there's some guy who's been, I'm not joking, arrested 10 times, convicted 4 times, that the person would take them. And by the way, one of the things they were convicted of was, I'm not joking, missing their court appointment. This is serious stories. They literally missed their court appointment because they just said, I'm going out and doing crimes. I'm not going to show up to my court appointment. They let them out on bail. Now, I said, again, silly, no, judges were not going to do that. They're going to put him in jail and handle it, and there'll be some back and forth, and they will figure this out in the judiciary. They'll figure out what's real, what's not, and they'll have some, precedent. They'll fix this. There's no way judges would do that. Holy cow, was I wrong. New York State judges let people out who, I'm not joking, would assault somebody in the morning and then assault somebody in the afternoon because they got out. That was happening again and again and again. And here's the worst part. What if a judge said, no, stay in? Stay in. No, you're staying in jail. Not kidding. You just beat up somebody in the street. You're staying in jail. And the last time I let you out, you didn't bother showing up. I didn't send the cops to go get you. No, you're staying in. What would have happened to that judge? Nothing. He might have got yelled at by some of his judges or something, or mad, or maybe something. Someone might have said, you can't do that. Maybe. That's it. Some prosecutor been like, that's bad, or whatever. They're not getting removed. They're not losing their jobs. They're not getting fired. None of them are. None of them. They can stand up with impunity. If I send them to my boss, I get fired. It's theirs. Whatevs. And they still didn't do it. Why? In their minds, this is prosecutors and judges. In their minds, the law is all that matters. And here's where they have lost themselves and why you are so important. What is supposed to happen, it does not. What's supposed to happen is our judges check our stupid legislature. So when the brain dead empty suits, when they pass terrible laws that are not constitutional at all, they now come in from a judge. A judge is supposed to go, that's unconstitutional. I'm not enforcing that. That's garbage. They never do that. They go, oh, well, it's the law, so I have to follow the law. I have to follow the law. Judges, I know you're not listening because you don't care. You don't have to follow the law. It doesn't say in any oath you took, anything to follow the law. It says you have to follow the Constitution. So when the laws are unconstitutional, it is your job to disregard them. Your job is to check the legislature. So when they give you garbage laws, which they do constantly, you're not supposed to go, okay, let's do this. You go, this is garbage. No, they won't. Particularly in New York State, they won't. They'll follow it. Doesn't matter what, no matter how dumb it is. That's why I made that stupid idea of the graffiti death sentence. They would do it. They wouldn't think twice. They would absolutely do it. They would do it. 100%. 100% do it. We know this to be true. They've proven they would do this. New York State judges have proven how bad they are. Slaves to the law that is supposed to be breaking apart and ignoring the Constitution. Remember something. This judge in Dexter Taylor's case literally said no to the Constitution and yes to New York State law when they're supposed to do exactly the opposite. Her job is exactly the opposite. And she went, no, that's what I'm doing. Where's the punishment? None. When she ruined Dexter's life, she went home. She went home to her family, friends. Assuming she has friends. I mean, she's a bad person, probably no friends. Whatever. People who pretend to be her friend because she has power. Those people. Sycophants. She went home to her sycophants. That's what she went home to. She went home. Maybe had a nice dinner. Dexter's life was ruined. She didn't care. Didn't think twice. In fact, she was happy that she ruined his life. Happy that she ruined his life. Why? Because somebody said bad things about her online. That's why. What an embarrassment our judges are in this state. They're a goddamn embarrassment. What an embarrassment our horrible assembly is for making these stupid laws. and say, what an embarrassment our governor is for signing these stupid laws. They're all an embarrassment. No one can stop them. This all three branches. All three branches. No one can stop them except you. You can get on that jury, accept that what that prosecutor is saying is probably a lie, that what that judge is saying is probably a lie, accept that it's true. Now, the defense attorney could also be lying also. I don't know that. I'm not saying that they're all good. I mean, defense attorneys are bad too, right? But I'm telling you, why did that guy not plea? That should be your number one question in your head. Why did he not plea? Now, don't get me wrong. There's guilty people don't plea. Not everyone who goes to trial is innocent. I'm not saying that. But the problem is right now, everyone in that room, except for the individual who's there, assumes you're guilty until proven innocent. You as a juror, you must be the one who says, no, innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. And everyone around me is lying unless they prove to me they're not lying. Now, what if a prosecutor found information that would exonerate their client? What would a prosecutor do? Obviously, the prosecutor would say, wait, made a mistake. Let this man go. Of course not. That's insanely stupid. Of course not. Prosecutors care about one thing, conviction rate. That's it. Anyone who walks in that courtroom, I'm putting in jail. I don't care if they're guilty, innocent, does not matter. I'm putting them in jail. I am ruining their life no matter what. Always remember that if you're a juror. That prosecutor does not care about truth. That prosecutor will literally hide things. There's so many examples of this. You just Google it. There's thousands of examples of prosecutors literally hiding stuff. Something else our laws say. Let's assume for a moment that some prosecutor puts some guy in jail. They find out 5 years later, 2 years later, that somebody else did the crime. Is that prosecutor required to now free that person? No. Not required at all. Not required. In fact, they can put that person in jail for the same crime, whatever they want. They're not required. None. No punishment. They don't do it. None. You have to sue them. Yes. You have to sue them. And there are lawyers who have literally argued, I'm not joking, that the innocent person must stay in jail because of the integrity of the system. You can look at it yourself. I'm not making this up. Look at it yourself. Keep them in jail because the system, even though they're innocent, because we can't have people lose faith in the system. Lawyers have argued this. What a bunch of horrible human beings these people are. What a bunch of horrible human beings they are that they would actually argue this. But that's what we're up against. Now, I know I went a bit off, but I wanted you to make sure why I'm saying this and why there is no chance. The conviction rate of the government is 90 some odd percent. 98, 95, 96, depending on where you are. 90 some odd percent. Yet we know that just from death row in Illinois, 20% of the people were innocent. 20% innocent. But I got a 95, 96, 98% conviction rate. That's a lot of innocent people going to jail. A lot. Going to jail for nothing. For nothing. And these guys aren't. Do you hear them talking about this? No. Trying to fix this? No. Not at all. It's idiots like me who are screaming about it. Nobody else is. They don't care. But until it's someone like Dexter, squeaky clean record, hurt nobody, guy has a teenage daughter. You took another black father out of I'm not going to swear. Be calm. You took another black father out of his teenage daughter's life for nothing. What a piece of garbage that lawyer is. I'm sorry, that prosecutor is. And what a piece of garbage that judge is. This is like all they talk about is how much they care. They took another black man. By the way, a black man who's not that thug they always tell you. Oh, they're a thug and he's a bad. No. He was looking for a career change. That's it. Hurting nobody. He's now out of his daughter's life when she's a teenager, when she needs him most. We have to become jurors and tell these judges and show them how wrong they are. Let me keep going. I'm sorry, I know I got off. I'm passionate about this. It really bothers me. I've seen it too many times. And I remember the first time that I was consulting on a case and I saw an innocent man go to jail. I know he's innocent. How do I know? I'm a defense team. They tell you everything. The guilty people tell the defense attorneys if they're guilty. I have helped defend some guilty people. I have. But I'm not mad at that because everyone deserves a fair trial and fair sentencing. If you did something, you should go to prison fairly, not because you're poor, right? You should go for the right amount. You should do 20 years when maybe someone else do 5. So sentencing and, of course, both. But when I first did, I was depressed. I thought, I should have done more. I should have fixed this. What's going on? I couldn't believe the jury convicted him. To me, it was so obvious. There was so much doubt, right? People say, we got to cast doubt in the minds of the jury. No, you don't. No, you must convince them of something else. I tell you all the time. I tell people all the time. When someone is accused of murder, or whatever it is, I'm going to say murder in this case, and they go to a courtroom, the first thing I tell the team is, do not say he's not a murderer. They go, what? Don't say that. Because the guy goes, I'm not a murderer. They go, that guy's a murderer, 100%. I have 3 choices, and only 3. I'm not the murderer. Somebody else is the murderer. Okay, that's an option. The jury will believe that. The jury has to believe that someone else did something happen. The jury, if a jury says sees a crime there, they go, somebody did it. That guy's here. He's guilty. They assume that. So first, we got to say either, it wasn't me who killed her. It was someone else. It could be this other person. So you've got to give them a plausible out, number 1. Number 2, you got to say, I'm not a murderer. I'm a robber, right? I rob people. Here's evidence of that. I'm not a murderer. I've never murdered anybody. I'm not a murderer. And the jury goes, oh, they misunderstood. This guy's a robber, not a, oh, okay. Option 2. Option 3, there was no murder. There's no murder. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no murder. Those are the only 3 ways you get a guy out. Casting doubt, he's going to jail. Casting doubt, he's guilty. Casting doubt means any lawyer who tells you got to cast doubt, you're going to jail. You're going to prison. Your life's over. Your lawyer has to have a story that does one of those 3 or a combination, or you're going to prison. It doesn't matter if you did it. Let me repeat that. It doesn't matter if you did it. If your lawyer, if your defense team cannot come up with some story that either says you're not the thing, someone else did it, or it wasn't even done, you're going to prison. This blows some people's minds. It's true. It's true. We have to stop this. We do that by us becoming jurors. Become jurors. And when you become a juror, listen to what Pinkerbell told you. Be quiet. Say as little as possible. Get on that jury. Listen. Assume they're all lying. Assume it. They're all lying. If they can't prove what they said, it's a lie. Assume it's a lie. Assume they're hiding stuff, because they are, for sure. They are. There's something else you may not know. Some of you jurors don't know this. You can't defend yourself any way you want to defend yourself. You can't do that. You can't. The judge has to allow you to do so. I'm not joking. If you've been in court before, you know this. If you haven't, you don't know this. So you go to court and go, hey, we're doing a, our defense is going to be, this was actually self-defense. The judge will go, yeah, no, you can't do that one. Literally. What do you mean I can't? So no. I don't think there's enough evidence. You can't do a self-defense defense. Some of you, I know your mind's exploding. But yes, a judge will not allow you. A judge will then sanction you and punish you if you do it. Yes, you cannot defend yourself the way you want to defend yourself. That's our current system. That's how broken it is. So if you say to yourself, why didn't this guy defend himself that way? The judge probably didn't let him. And again, the judge is a former prosecutor. They're buddies. So of course they're going to stop you from doing things that make sense. Of course they are. They want you to go to jail. And they want to do it quickly so they can go home. They gotta go play, Call of Duty. They don't have time for you. Go to jail. I wish I was joking. I'm not. So you get to defend yourself the way the judge allows you to. What if you want to defend yourself by saying, you know what? I'm defending myself because this law is a bogus law. Let's say you're that kid who's 16, 17 years old and gets convicted of graffiti. And your father and your mother are saying, no, stop. This is an unjust law. The judge will literally say to you, you can't do that. Jury nullification is not a thing in this state. You can't do it. No. Tell you no. You can't do it. If your attorney goes, don't convict him, it's a horrible law. No, you can't. Literally in New York State, if they made slavery a law, you'd just be a slave because the brain dead people said so. The brain dead empty suits in our assembly said, yeah, slavery's fine. They would say the judge would go, yeah, slavery's fine. They would do that. I wish I was joking. I'm not. Why do I say this? Because now, when you all of a sudden come to being a juror and you realize that all these people in this system are probably lying, they don't care about truth, they don't care about the Constitution. I'm not joking when I say that. They don't care about it. It means nothing. She just said the quiet part out loud. But imagine if you're a judge who swears an oath to the Constitution and you would openly say the Bill of Rights doesn't matter in my courtroom. If it doesn't matter in your courtroom, where does it matter? You just say it. That is how powerful we are. That's how powerful they are. They don't care. Nothing going to happen. You as a juror go, okay, I hear you. I got you. Yeah. You don't care about the Constitution. You don't care about truth. You'll lie. You don't care. You'll lie. You'll punish anyone else for lying. And I'm not even done with that. I'm going to go one step further. If someone goes on the stand to defend themselves, right? If they go on and defend themselves, if you say, I'm going to tell my story, that's how you want to defend yourself. You say it. And you're convicted, the judge will give you extra time. Extra time. Why? Because the judge will say, well, you understand you were convicted, so therefore you were lying, so now I'm going to throw more years on you. So you defend yourself as our Constitution says, and you are punished for that, and that's the norm. Ask any judge, they'll tell you that's the norm. Nothing I'm saying, look, I'm saying it publicly. If I'm lying, you can correct me. You can't correct me because I'm correct. I'm correct. They just add on. Oh, you dared to defend yourself? Extra years. Take that. I'm the God King, not you. Take those years. So now you realize, all right, I'm a juror. The next thing that judge is going to tell you, they're going to tell you, look, your job is to decide what is true and not, and that's it. You are not to look at anything outside of this case except what's there. Blatantly unconstitutional, wrong, and a lie. They will tell you that. You use your experience and go, nah, you know what? Last prosecutor I know was a piece of garbage who was sleeping with someone else. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Who's sleeping with somebody and handing out cash and stuff. You prosecutors, you aren't all so great. Last judge I know doesn't think the Bill of Rights exists in her courtroom. I'm not sure. Use your experience, damn it. That judge is lying. That judge is saying the wrong thing. Ignore them. Next thing the judge is going to tell you. It doesn't matter what you think about that law. You were to see if the person was guilty of that law or not, and you're not. You also have to worry about, they'll tell you this too, you also have to worry about the sentencing. The sentencing that's going to happen, you are not to consider that whether the person is guilty or not. Also an utter lie. Of course, you should consider that. I'll go back to what I was talking about. What if you knew that if you convict this 16-year-old of graffiti, they're going to murder him? And you go, well, you know what? It's the law. What a horrible human being you are. If you would act to that. Now, I know a judge did because they're horrible human beings. So they would do it, right? It doesn't mean you would. I would hope you would say, wait a minute, if I convict this kid, they're going to murder him. Yeah, no, not guilty. Not guilty. But you saw him do the thing. I know, but I'm not going to be responsible for destroying his family's life and for murdering him. For those jurors who convicted Dexter Taylor, shame on you. Shame on you. I hope someone sends this to you if you were a juror. Shame on you. You destroyed a young girl's life. You took her father away. You destroyed a good man. You wrecked his life. Why? Because some idiot in a robe told you to? Because some bought and paid for a prosecutor told you to? And you complain about how our country's falling apart. You did it. You did it. You allowed them to convince you. And you went home going, oh, these sheep. You're the sheep. You did it. You ruined his life. You destroyed the life of a young girl. She lost her father. Why? Where was the victim? Who got hurt by this? What taxes didn't get paid? None. The brain dead empty suits in Albany, our horrible assembly, made a very stupid law. Our brain dead, horrible, bought and paid for governor signed that stupid law. And then our embarrassment of prosecutors and judges went, yep, let's just do it, and ruin a guy's life. And you sat there and said, okay, guilty, because I guess it's the rules. That's what you did. Shame on you. I hope someone knows who you are and forwards this to you, and you watch it and you feel like garbage, because you deserve it. You deserve it. Why did you vote guilty? Let me now go to how you should vote. Don't tell anybody on the jury what I told you. I'm not joking. Don't tell them. Find a piece of evidence, whatever that evidence is, and tell them over and over and over you don't believe it. That's it. Find a piece of evidence, whatever it is, that piece of evidence, whatever it is. Say you're not sure about it, and that makes you doubt it, and you're never going to vote guilty. Tell them that. They'll try to convince you. You can't tell them this is a bad law, because they will tell the judge and they'll have you removed. That's how it works. Don't say that. Right? Pinkerbell is right. Be quiet. Don't say that. Just find a piece of evidence. Don't lie either. So find a piece of evidence that you think you're not sure of, and tell them, I don't buy it. I'm not voting guilty. And tell them you're not voting guilty no matter what. No matter what. Tell them. Tell you, no matter what, I'm not voting guilty. I'm not doing it no matter what. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. I'm not voting guilty. That piece of evidence, I don't buy it. I'm not doing it. Like, but Larry, they all want to vote guilty. Yes, but they all want to go home. Yeah, that's what the judge does. To be fair, with the person in that courtroom whose life is being ruined, no one gives a damn about them. They just don't. You must. You must. They don't. If you think the law is unjust, do not say the law is unjust. They will remove you. Instead, just go, this evidence is wrong. I'm voting not guilty. I'm never voting guilty. So we can sit here for the next 6 days, or you guys can just follow me and let this guy go. Or something else. I don't want you to just let people go. I don't. Sometimes people do bad things and should go to jail. Of course. Of course. I'm not naive. There's bad people who do bad things all the time. Of course. But you always have multiple charges in these cases. So what a prosecutor does is they throw 80,000 freaking charges on you to put the person in jail for 75 years for something that was dumb. Why can't you just vote not guilty to certain charges? I'll give you an example. Some guy robbed somebody. And when they robbed the person, they showed him a gun, and they also had cannabis in their pocket. So they get him for a gun charge, robbery, and cannabis, and a bunch of stuff in that regard. Vote not guilty on the cannabis. Having cannabis is not a crime. I mean, again, the brain dead empty suits in our assembly have said it's a crime. It's not. But so vote not guilty on that. Right? He had a gun on him. Second Amendment, not a crime. Again, the brain dead empty suits in our assembly say it's a crime. It's not. Vote not guilty on that. But he robbed the guy. Convict him for that. That's a crime. There's a victim. Now, what does a prosecutor see when all of a sudden they go, wait, they didn't, not guilty, but he had the cannabis. Not guilty, but he had the gun. Guilty of the robbery? What? Huh. Do that 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 100 times. And these crimes will not even be prosecuted anymore. Because what a prosecutor does not want is not guilty verdicts. Doesn't look good for them. And they care about their career far more than they care about you or anybody else. So if you are a juror, look at that. If it is unjust law, find a piece of evidence. Say, I'm not prepared to vote guilty on this because of this. But if it's just law, I did it, put a guy in jail or prison. I don't want you to let everybody out. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying stop putting innocent people in jail. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying stop convicting people for things that are not crimes just because some idiots in Albany or whatever your capital is said they're a crime. It's not a crime, right? It's not a crime. You know it's not a crime. If there is no victim, it's not a crime. That's how it works. Just say to yourself, is there a victim here? If you could find a victim, convict them. I got it. No worries. If you can't find a victim, why are you voting guilty? Why are you voting guilty? For what? Because some idiot in a robe told you to? Because some bought and paid for a life destroyer told you to? Think about it. A lot of people become prosecutors, but a lot of people leave prosecution. Why? Why does someone become a prosecutor 5, 8 years, 10 years, whatever, and then leave? Why? It's a good career. Make tons of money. You got qualified immunity. No one can touch you. You're probably going to be a judge one day or something like that. Get on TV like you're a former prosecutor. Why? Why would you leave? Because it's soul crushing. That's why. Your life is destroying people's lives. Now, if you do a lot of good work and get rid of a lot of bad people, good for you. But I think you and I both know that the vast majority of laws right now, they aren't really crimes. I don't want you to do stuff, so I'm going to ruin your life. How long can somebody do that and still retain any lifestyle? Well, some can. They do it for 20, 30 years. And all of those people, oh my God, what kind of human being are you? What kind of human being are you? If someone tells me, I've been a prosecutor for 30 years, I think, oh my God, you're a monster. That's what I think. You're a monster. Oh my God, you're a monster is all I think. I was prosecutor for 6 years, I left. 8 years left, 10 years I left. Okay, you're a human being. Too much for you. You left. Makes sense. I'm a prosecutor for 30 years. What kind of human being are you? One I'm scared of. That's for sure. One I am scared of. That's the piece that we should be thinking about. If you're a juror, it matters. Try to be a juror if you can. Let me talk to you guys about something more important for 1 second. Guys, click the button that is like. You got me all riled up. Dexter Taylor got me all pissed off. I'm all riled up. So do me a favor. Calm me down by clicking that like button. It does matter. If you're watching this on X or on Twitter, then do me a favor. Retweet this right now. Retweet this. It's important. Do this. Retweet it, re-X it, repost it, whatever it is. If you want your chat to come to the front, you can support the channel from YouTube, Larry Sharpe YouTube. You can super chat me if you want to. Throw me a couple bucks so I can do more of this. I can rant and rave more and do less work every day. And also, if you want to really hook me up, do me the favor of favors. Click the join button on YouTube. Become a member. $29 per month. Always good if you can do that. Every time you do it, good. Please, if you can, click that join button. Make it work. It does help tremendously. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. The subscribe button does matter. Please do it. Every little bit counts so I can get this moving around to the best of my ability. Excuse me. It is important. Let me grab some comments if I could. Let's see here. I don't know where you guys are watching, whether you're watching on YouTube. This streams live on like 8 places. So I do appreciate all you guys who are watching. So, all right, let's see here if I can. Joe says, during notification, right? That is my point. During notification, people, even lawyers will tell you, well, I'm not sure. It's a gray area. It's not a gray area. I will go back to that same thing I said before. If there was a law that said if you were 16 or 17 years old and you were convicted, mandatory minimum sentence was death, and you're a jury, you better vote not guilty no matter what. You better vote not guilty no matter what. Yes. NNY Liberty says, from reports, the judge intimidated the jury into voting guilty, even vehemently shooting down the jury notification. Yes, that's the norm. Judges I've been on juries. I've been a consultant. I've heard they do what's called, they give jury instruction. It's called jury instruction, they call it, right? When they give jury instruction, They say literally, if it doesn't matter how you feel about the law, it's only if it's true or not. They intimidate you. You're exactly right. Every time in New York State, they intimidate you to not do jury nullification. I hope you're listening to me and telling other people. This is why I'm saying this. When they say that to you, and they will, I assume in many states, but all I know is New York State. That I know. I've physically been through it. This is how it works in New York State. They will tell you. They will say jury nullification is not real. You can't do it. It's against the law. Whatever they're going to say. They are lying to you. Do not believe them. You may vote not guilty if you want to for any reason you see fit. Let me say it again. You may vote not guilty for any reason you see fit. What I'm telling you is, if you say because the law is unjust, they will remove you. I'm not saying to lie. I'm saying to not say that. That's what I'm saying. So I hope we're clear. So yes. New member, Jonathan, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it. Every little bit counts. I do appreciate that tremendously. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Every little one counts. Thank you, my friend. So let me see if I can keep going down here. Hold on if I can grab a couple more. Dave says, so saying back to blue no matter what they do will get me to the jury. It depends, to be forward. Not every case has cops as witnesses, right? So if the case has cops as witnesses, they may throw you off. They might, Dave, yes. But if there's no cops as witnesses, they won't care, right? Sometimes the witness is a police officer, sometimes it isn't, depends on the case. If there's no cops as witnesses, they may not care. You can say back to blue all day long. Doesn't mean they'll throw you off. They might, but doesn't mean that. So yeah, that's a piece to think about. It depends on who the witnesses are, right? That's the issue. Yes. Jonathan goes on to say, don't even ask about jury nullification during the interview. Thank you. Don't even bring it up. Don't even bring it up. Say nothing. Again, the less you say, the better. The less you say, the better. 100%. Patty says, last time I was wearing a shirt that said, people should not be afraid of the government should be afraid of people. Wasn't picked. Yes. I would ask you to not wear that shirt, Patty, and to instead look, Patty, I know you. You are a compassionate, savvy person who knows how to listen. For those you know, I've met Patty more than once. I know her personally. You would make a great juror. You've been through some stuff in your life, which gives you experience to go, all right, was this really bad or not? Was there really a victim or not? Are there extenuating circumstances or not? You would be a very good juror. So please, next time, if you can, again, not everyone's in the right spot where they can be a juror, but if you can, you'd make a wonderful juror. That's the issue. You'd make a wonderful juror if you could. So Skylar says, I love this episode as a lawyer. My friend is a defense attorney and says his number one task is to educate the jury that the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. You know, Skylar, think of that. His task is to educate the jury that that's true. Why? Because the jury doesn't think that. You would think the jury believes it off the bat. You will hear many non-defense attorney lawyers go, you don't understand, Larry, the burden of proof in the criminal is so high. It is not at all. At all. That's a story they tell you in law school. That's not even close to true. The burden of proof is zero. You're guilty. You have to, exactly what Scholar says, you have to educate the jury to show them that, no. He's innocent. You have to. Yes. She goes on to say, and the laws that apply under this client, that he's innocent, jury rigging is a reality from the prosecutor. Yes. And yes, unlimited funds to punish you. Yes. Remember, you are innocent until proven broke. That's you. The prosecutor, they got all the money all the time. Why? It's your money. They'll take your taxpayer dollars and they will hammer you all day long. Absolutely. All day long. 100%. Yes. Pinko says the deck is stacked against public defenders on baseline. Yes and no. It is. Which makes public defenders, sadly, often just give up. That's the problem. They just give up. They go, I just can't do it. Oh, they get burned out and leave. They can't do it. They can't. So they wind up trying to get out. And here's the worst part. When they try to get out, how do you get out of that situation? You often kiss up to prosecutors and judges. so they can recommend you to some other law firm. I know that sounds horrible, Pinkerbell, but it's common. You find people who become public defenders because they're in a bad spot right now. Some are crusaders. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to put all public defenders down. Some are crusaders. But many who are crusaders work for some nonprofit, so they get some other support. A lot of public defenders, not New York City specifically, but other areas, will work for other groups so they can get some other nonprofit money in as resources, either bodies, volunteers, research assistants, something. If you're just a regular public defender, the deck is stacked against you. And many of them go, well, I can't do this. Let me kiss up to all the people so I can get myself out of here. Sadly, that happens often because the deck is so stacked. Again, bad. So anyway, yes. All right. Roger says that, Larry, depending on the case, the other guy will fight for me to be on the jury. Yes. If antitrust or going after corporate, they'll be like, yeah, well, of course. Yes. Agreed. Right. If anybody knows me and who I am, defense attorneys going to be like, get Larry on that freaking jury, whatever it takes. Get him on. Of course they would. That's why I'll probably never get on the jury again. So yeah, probably never again. 100%. Michael Voss says, sadly, the more informed and aware you are, the less lawyers want you in a jury. True. Accurate. Yes. Very true. 100%. Missy says, I've been selected for jury 3 times. I didn't serve any of them. Getting to the courthouse as a disabled person is challenging in rural areas, which is why I couldn't do it last time. Oh, interesting. I was only not selected once. I was 3 times also, just like you, Missy. We're probably similar in age range. I actually went 3 times. And once I wasn't selected, once I got civil, once I got criminal. So I actually did, I got selected twice. So yes. All right, so I can grab a couple more of these. Guys, thank you so much for all the back and forth. I really appreciate it. So Phil says, they try to turn a jury pool to a cesspool. That's very good. Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's absolutely true. Yeah, it does happen all the time. Yes. Sam says, our courts are very rigged. They need more limited liberty-minded jurors. Yes, and we've also got to change our judges too. And this is a way that the judges scam if they're elected. A lot of judges are selected, but some are elected. And if you've ever seen a judge who gets elected, what do they always do? They say, hey, I can't tell you how I would rule on something. And they say that. Can they? Of course they can. That's a rule they made up. They made up that rule. I'm not joking. The judges themselves made it because they don't want to tell you how they would rule. I'm not joking. And then I go, well, I can't do it. It's unethical. They made that up. You want to fix this? We can. Force the judges to answer the goddamn question. If this was happening, how would you rule? I can't rule. Then I can't vote for you. Now, we won't do that. Why? Because the judges are also part of the Democratic-Republican system. They're part of the two-party system. But that's how we should do it. We should know how the judges would actually vote on things. We should. Think about that. How about the Supreme Court? They lied too. They didn't say how they would do something. Well, could be, maybe. No, say it. Say it. So, yes. Mike says, thankfully the judge comments should guarantee overturn an appeal, but it should never have need to go on the way. No, it's not. I'm not going to guarantee that. Mike, come on. No. The only way this gets overturned, I think, is if it goes to the Supreme Court, or the next thing, which is what I want to do next, which is make this as publicly popular as possible. The reason why she was mad because she got dragged online is because all these people are political animals. All of the judges are political animals. All of them. 100% of them are. If they look bad or things get in trouble or the press is involved, they get scared and they back off. So if we forget about this and this goes to appeal, guarantee they go, nope, everything's fine. Stay in jail for 10 years. No way. I don't care who, doesn't matter. But if all of a sudden they start getting scared, wait a minute, hold on, we might get in trouble. I might not get reelected, or I might not get selected by the next mayor or governor. Uh-oh. Yeah. Overturn. Yes. You might think, wait a minute, Larry, that has nothing to do with the Constitution. I know. As I said, they don't care about the Constitution. That doesn't matter to them. They care about covering their ass. One judge, when I was at, this is true story, when I was trying to get on the ballot 2 years ago, one judge said, Larry, you got literally said this. Larry, you got to give me a reason. You know, you got to give me cover. How do I overturn this? So he admitted I was right, but I couldn't give him political cover. Like he said that to me. Yeah, they say the quiet part out loud because no one can touch them. They don't care. He's like, Larry, you're right, but I'm going to get in trouble. So no. So, Mike, I think you're correct by Constitution. You are reading the Constitution clearly. Yes. They don't care about that piece of paper, though. That's the problem. They have to care about it. And they don't. So unless we make this something bigger, not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. Joel says, when my dad was working self-employed, he didn't want jury duty. After he retired, he thought juries would be all retired people. Imagine facing an angry old person jury. That's actually funny. Hey, it might be good. I mean, who knows? It might be good. So Picklebell says they're lawyers, so of course they lie. Not all lawyers lie. All right, not all do, but prosecutors, yeah. Phil says Kamala Harris kept someone on death row by withholding evidence. Yes, yes, thank you. And she'll never get in trouble for it ever. None. Never. Absolutely. They would never get in trouble for it ever. 100% true. Yes, they would. There's no way in the world that they would actually do that. So you're 100% correct. All righty. And Sal goes on to, Larry, Kamala, 100%. Right? Yes, 100%. Totally true. So in any case, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So Dow says, on the way low down, jury notification. Yes. Right? I wish you could tell people about this while you're on the jury. You can't, guys. If you do, there will be a narc on the jury who is an authoritarian. There always is. And they will tell the judge what you said, and the judge will remove you. That's how it works. The judge will remove you and put an alternate in instead. So you can't say it. I know it sounds horrible, right? But you just can't. The people don't get it. They're slaves to the system. That's the issue. Shelly says, Vice President immunity for things being done before elected. Well, I like that. Phil says, thank you for $2 on Super Chat. I appreciate it. Can we get Dexter's case to RFK and Trump at the LP in DC? It wouldn't matter, right? And I don't mean to be mean, but a president can't pardon him. These are state crimes. A president can only pardon federal crimes. So would they care? Maybe, but they don't have any power over this, right? There's no power, right? So they can't actually pardon him. They can only pardon him for federal crimes. The state doesn't change. So they wouldn't be able to pardon. And a bigger piece, and Mike brings this up, which is, yes, I want the law changed. Correct. Yes, I want the law. I do want the law changed. That's a big issue. I do want it changed. I do believe that it would get maybe some press, but would it? I'm not sure it would. I like the idea. I'm not against it, right? I'm definitely not against it. 100%. I'm not against it. It's a good idea. I just don't know if it would do what we think it would do. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if it would. Guys, I'm going to ask you one more time. Thank you for super chats. I appreciate them tremendously. I hope you're enjoying this show. Also, click the like button. Every like matters. Please do so. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet it. You can super chat me as some of you have. You can become a member as some of you have. Please do that if you want to. But no matter what, please click that like button. It's free. It helps tremendously. It makes sure everything moves forward. It is important that we do it. I do appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was an interesting show. I did this because somebody got me all riled up about it because of Dexter Taylor. It's horrible that he went to jail. I hope that we can fix this and make it right. I don't know if we can, but I'm going to let you guys go. I will be back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. interviewing a libertarian who was running for chair of the LNC. That'll be tomorrow at 1, and I will be back on again Monday night also. I will see you all. Oh, by the way, before I do this, once I hang up, once I'm done, once I shut this thing down, do me a favor, come back on wherever you're watching, put a comment after. Come back once I'm done, put a comment. You know who likes that? Al Gore Rhythm likes it very much. So do us a favor and do that. I will see you all very soon.